Hello everyone, today we're going to be looking at Windows Whistler build 2223. This is a very early build of what would eventually become Windows XP. Since it's a very early build, it does have a lot in common with Windows 2000. So, if you go into like the WinVer, you can see it all says Windows 2000 on here. But there are a few interesting differences between this and 2000 that I think are worth noting. Most notably is the login screen. So if we log it out here, yeah, there we go. We get this login screen. Now this is very reminiscent of the Windows Neptune login screen, but there are also a few similarities to the final XP login screen. Most notably in layout, you can see the administrator and the password. It's all in this sort of section that would be kept, and the ability to turn off the computer, which I don't think works. I've pressed it, but it does nothing. That's pretty weird. Okay. Another interesting thing is this control panel, which isn't very interesting on its own, but there is a new one that is sort of unfinished, but is there. So you can see here, we've got like all the basic sound options, but there's no real thing. And if you right click like adjust audio properties, you just get this. There's no real way to access this other than like this like sort of command thing. And while it does work, you can like actually modify things here. So if we mute it, it actually is muted, and show volume off control on the taskbar. So that's mildly interesting. Another thing that would eventually end up in XP is ClearType, which is a font smoothing technology that's, I think, still used to this day. It might not be on regular Windows 8, but maybe. So yeah, as you can see now, it makes a very significant difference. It definitely looks a lot nicer, I suppose. I don't know, for me it just looks weird because I'm so used to like Windows 2000 having like that sort of like edged font. Seeing everything like smooth is just weird. Another thing to show off is the OOB. This was used in Windows XP directly after the setup. It stands for out of box experience, and it was basically used to set up PCs and whatnot. I think before Windows XP though, they did have a similar function when you would buy OEM computers and they had like an operating system pre-installed. They would usually show some variation of the OOB on Windows ME or Windows 98. But this is what it looks like in Windows Whistler, or at least this version of Windows Whistler. This is very unfinished, by the way. So you've got a license agreement. I'm not going to read. And then you've got this, which doesn't actually work. You can just put in wherever you want, and it'll just show up as that. And if you do this, you can either re-enter the product here or shut down Windows. So if your Windows isn't legal, no operating system for you, I guess. But there is a debug skip, and as you can see, we can click finish to display the Windows desktop, but it doesn't. It just goes us back to this. The only way to get out of this is by Task Manager. By the way, there's no. Thought it was by Task Manager. Oh my god. The last thing I want to show off is the theme service. Now, there is no actual way to apply the Windows themes in this build, or at least not with any sort of user interface. There's nothing here implemented that'll allow us to use it. But in System32, there is a file called business.thx. Now, if you right click on the properties and go into like the version number, you can see here 10.0.0.1 business theme for Windows. Now this has a few interesting implications because It seems that Microsoft had planned to make 2 different themes for Windows XP. One that would be used for the professional version, and another one which was to be used for the home edition, which at the time was called the personal version. Unfortunately, I don't think there is a home theme that was ever created, or at least not a proper one. There is a sample test visual style that I think I've shown off in a later Whistler build that has a few lines in its code alluding to it being the home theme, but I think it was pretty obvious that at that point that they were going to use the single theme. But if we use this app, then we can actually enable what is basically a very, very broken Windows theme. Now keep in mind, this is only set to run on Explorer Windows, because this would be absolute hell to navigate with anything that wasn't one. This won't close anymore. This just won't. I think the thing is legitimately gone, you know, we've got the window that's been cut in half. Overall, it's a complete disaster. But there are actually some settings for it. DL name and theme name are the location of the theme files, but I'm pretty sure this just defaults to the business theme that I showed off just before. Enable frame enables the sort of blue borders on the windows. Target app, that's so that it only targets one specific app. But if we do leave this blank, then it will actually theme the whole operating system. So if we load the theme now, everything is theme, no matter what we do. Let's just open up like Minesweeper or something. And yeah, you can see my point about me saying don't enable the whole theme. It's very yeah, I don't know what all that big gap's about, but hey. And another interesting thing about it, I haven't been able to get this to run myself, but apparently the business theme itself has a crap ton of uncommented code that allows us to see a few features that weren't actually made available in XP. For example, I think there was actually an option to customize the theme. Not like the olive green and silver themes, but with like actually being able to change the specific colors of the window borders and everything. But other than that, I think that's about it for today, whatever the hell it is in your country or time zone. Be sure to slap the button that says subscribe on it if you really need to see me awkwardly talking about Windows for 10 minutes. But other than that, have a nice day, and bye.